The story begins on a scary night in a village street occupied by some werewolves, and a boy is spying on them and trying to shoot them on his mobile. Suddenly, a wolf noticed him and attacked him so severely that he died. A few weeks ago, in the village of Grey Inn, Jiri was advising In brothers about the rules at the school that they should never harm others, listen to their teachers, and get along with their peers. First, he asks Tahul if he can do that, and then Enzi advises her not to get in trouble now and asks Najak to take care of everyone. Meanwhile, their neighbor comes there and asks Jiri if he is sending them to school as today is their first day, and he bows before her and makes sure that they will try their best to adjust while they are there. When they are going to school, Tahul asks Najak if they can make many friends at the school, and says that he always wants to live in the village because he likes this place. Najak asks both of them to settle there as Jiri has been struggling because of them, and they can't be on the run forever. They were walking to the school when suddenly, Tahul noticed a board that said the devil was buried there. They go near the board to check it when the land begins to shake, and a hand appears from the earth. Tahul and Enzi get scared, but it is a boy who is shouting for help. Najak comes forward and helps him to get out of the land. They ask him if he is okay and if he belongs to their school because he has worn the same uniform as them. But he doesn't reply to them and says that he is grateful for their help but get off his case. They reach the school, and Tahul is so excited to see the students as they all look cool to him. A student comes to them who will guide them to their classrooms. Najak and Enzi are both in class 2. Suddenly, they see some students bullying the same guy as before while their guide tells them they are just performing an exorcism. Najak comes forward to help him while the students get offended and ask him who he is. The guide interrupts them, says he is a transfer student, and asks everyone to go to their classes, so they all leave. He then tells them a rule that they have to never bother with that boy. Later in the course, Tahul is thinking about him, and he is sure that he was being bullied, and the student president is also so mean that he asked them not to bother. Meanwhile, some students come to him, and one of them asks if he was the one who got in a fight in the hall and asks him to leave him alone. Otherwise, he will be screwed too. And all of his excitement vanishes, and he thinks the school is different from what he expected. On the other side, some students again bully that guy, and Najak again helps him, and asks him to talk to him and why he lets them have their way with him, but he again leaves by saying he told him to mind his business. Meanwhile, some students appear there and ask him why he is hanging around a devil, and a transfer student should be their side while Najak cannot understand what they are talking about. Somewhere in this world, vampires and werewolves are pitted against each other. After the endless conflict, the werewolves were driven into a corner and chased out of their den, and they, too, ran away from the vampires and fled to a small city in Asia, hoping they could settle down safely there. When they returned home, Najak asks them to keep the abandoned factory a secret from Jiri as he will be worried for various reasons. When they enter the home, they are shocked to see that guy working in their home, and he is also shocked to see them. They introduce themselves to him, and Najak asks him his name too, but he doesn't say a word. Their landlady answers them, says his name is Khan, and says her son is timid. They are surprised to see he is the owner's son, and Najak tells her that they are in the same class in the school. At night when they go to bed to sleep, Tahul asks them if the owner knows that Khan is being bullied at school, and if not, they should tell her because he is feeling bad for him. Enzi gets irritated by him, throws his pillow toward him, and asks him to sleep, but Tahul starts crying and asks him how he can be so heartless and rest knowing what Khan is going through. Najak says they are friends with him now and will remain on his side no matter what. On the other side, there is a boy named Khrok who studies in the same school as them, and his father asks him how his school is going as he hears some nasty rumors about him. He doesn't care what he is up to and warns him not to dirty his name while Khrok is sitting like an obedient student. Meanwhile, a man comes there and tells his father that the purchasing of the abandoned factory will be delayed for some reason. He gets offended and punches him so hard that he falls to the ground and asks him to settle it their way and not to make it so difficult for them. The following day, when he is going to drop to the school, Khrok asks him if his dad strikes him and that he should have done a better job and not tried his patience. Suddenly, he notices Khan on the road and that he is going with Najak and his brothers. Tahul asks him to eat lunch with them later, and before he could answer, he notices Khrok staring at him. So, he runs away from there by saying he doesn't need friends. During their lunch break, they are pleased to see the food and appreciate the owner that she is very good at cooking. Najak thinks it would be great if Khan joined them, and Tahul says he doesn't like them. Meanwhile, the same students appear there, ask them what they are doing there, call them the losers from the inn, and ask them to get out there. Enzi gets offended and asks them if they rent the rooftop of something when Najak gets up, forbids him, apologizes to him by saying they didn't know the place was taken, and leaves the area. After some time, Enzi is still angry while Najak asks him to calm down as if something happened. They will get in trouble. Rock enters the class with his friends and again makes fun of them by saying they smell like trash and look like someone eats in the bathroom. Enzi gets offended and gets up to attack him, but before he can punch him, Khan gets in their way, and Enzi's punch hits him while they are all shocked to see this. He falls to the ground while feeling ashamed of himself, and all the other students are happy that he attacked that guy. Rock leaves by saying that he has changed his mind and wants to enter his team, while Enzi intends to tell them that they have gotten it wrong, but Najak forbids him to do anything. He asks Khan why he did this, and he replies that it only happened to be passing by. But he doesn't understand what he says. At home, he is still thinking about this and says it was intentional, and Najak asks him to stop being loud as he has already made a fuss. So he told him to hold back. Tahal asks them how a human can be alright after getting punched by a werewolf, and Enzi also wonders why Khan was okay. The following day, he again checks him up in the class, but he seems fine to him, and Najak thinks maybe his punch was weak. Enzi gets offended and asks him if he has forgotten the taste of his fist. Meanwhile, Jiri enters the room and says he is also curious about his punch. They get shocked to see him while he seems angry and asks them who hit whom. After some time, he dragged Enzi through the lounge while he is trying to tell him that it was just a misunderstanding, and that he was the one who hit his fist with his face. He takes him to Khan and bows before him to apologize for what happened today. Enzi also apologizes to him while Khan forgives them by saying it just happened to be passing by. That night, Khan was cleaning things when Enzi and Tahal appeared at the door and said it is weird that he had been cleaning for 6 hours straight and thought he might have mysophobia. He is carrying a heavy load with his bare hands, which means he is Stro, and G2 in their observation tells them that he is not a human. Tahal tells him that werewolves smell nutty and vampires reek of blood, and he doesn't have both symptoms. They are discussing him when Khan appears there and asks Enzi to move his feet while they both get scared and wonder when he got there. He exclaims that he knows they are tailing him, but Enzi refuses and says they are not following him. He then tells them that if they keep following him like this morning, things will get rougher for them. Enzi asks him what he did so wrong that all the students treat him like trash, and he replies that he refused to go with them. 1 year ago, on a beautiful day, his mother told him to get along with his friends this time, and he promised to not bother his mom anymore. The teacher introduces him as a transfer student to the class and asks him to get along with him. The students seemed excited to see him and wanted to talk to him and wanted to make him friends. Some students came to him and asked him some formal questions and later invited him to lunch with them, and Khan thought that things would move smoothly this time. Suddenly, Rock enters the class with his friends, asks who Khan is, and asks all the students to get out of there. He then asks him to come to class 4 at lunchtime, and they will eat together, but he refuses by saying he has plans. Rock turns back and asks who has plans with him, and nobody answered, and he leaves him by saying they will meet at 4. He didn't go to them, and when he was returning, Rock blocked his path and asked him why he didn't come for lunch. He has a stick full of nails in his hand while Khan tells him that he has plans. He calls him the Devil of Dire Vank Secondary and says he already knows he was kicked out of the village because he got into trouble. He then offers to get under him so he will make his life comfortable, but Khan again refuses by saying he will not join them. They attack him together while Khan punches one of them and takes him down in just one hit. He thinks he can't make trouble for him, so he will slightly beat them up. They all try to hit him, but he is more potent than all of them and easily took them down. Rock gets scared and thinks he is a devil and tries to blackmail him by saying his mom works at Grey and asks him if his mother didn't tell him where she got the money to set up an inn after running away there. He states that in this village, every house is indebted to him, and if he will make a fuss with him, he will ask his mother to pay the loans right now. Only death awaits those who go against the king of this village, and his father is the king there, and then he beats him up badly. That day and today, he is continuously bearing their torture just because of his mother. On the other side, Jiri is advising Najak to leave his claw marks like that. Then he can mark his territory to keep out other werewolves, and if there is an intruder, then they have to fight them. He then asks him to patrol the area with him, and Najak turns into a wolf to go with him. They were wandering in the streets when they sense the smell of blood. They start running to find the person because the smell tells them that there must be a vampire, and Jiri asks him to follow him closely. They reach a cliff and the scent disappears there, and Jiri thinks a vampire passes by the village, and if that's the case, then it must be a relief for them. The next morning, when they were going to school, Tahal tells him everything that Khan told them last night when they notice Khan is also going to school. Enzi and Tahal hide behind a wall and Najak asks them why they are hiding like this, and Tahal says that Khan told them to not to get closer to him. He also told them to ignore him like the others, but he doesn't want to do that while Najak is observing and feels some kind of scent from him. Tahal interrupts his thinking and asks him what he thinks about Khan or if he is also going to ignore him like others, but he refuses that he can't ignore him. Later, in the class, some students are again bullying him while Najak and Enzi are watching them quietly, and they are surprised that they are doing this to him just because he refused to join them. Enzi says this school is so messed up because there is the jerk who acts like a king, and then there are the rest who act as his supporters. Suddenly, he makes a paper plane and throws it toward a boy who falls to the bench. Later, he was doing his lunch in the bathroom when some students appear there and throws water on him and run away. Meanwhile, Tahal appears there and brings an umbrella to save him from water and tells him that his mother asked him to bring an umbrella since it might rain today. On the other side, Rock and his friends think they should bring wastewater to throw at Khan this time, but Enzi appears there and moves so fast that he hits all of them and they all fall to the ground with their injured shoulders. At break time, they are all surprised to see that Khan looks frigging normal today, and Rock asks him why he is looking happy today and opens a bottle to throw soda on him. But Najak appears there somewhere and grabs the bottle from him and pours it onto Rock and says garbage goes into the trash bin. He gets furious and grabs him from his collar, but Najak asks him to stop bluffing and let go before he snaps his wrist. Rock is about to punch him when a teacher appears there and asks all of them to stop right there. He leaves his collar and leaves by saying he will make him pay for this. At home, Enzi is enjoying the situation and tells him that he was the one who called the teacher there, while Najak says the teacher will keep an eye on him now. He gets up and marks the walls by saying from now on, the abandoned factory will be their base camp. On their way back home, he tells them that he smelled a vampire. The smell was faint, but it definitely belonged to a vampire, and disappeared shortly after though. Tahal asks him what they will do if he appears again, and he replies that they will have to fight, and advises them to keep their noses alert so they are always prepared. Suddenly, Tahal senses the smell of blood and starts running toward it. They reach a place where Rock and his friends are beating Khan, and Enzi asks them to calm down as if they step in, it will become a group brawl. But Tahal doesn't listen to them and runs toward them to save Khan and hits all who are beating him. He stands in front of him and asks them why they are beating him and tells Rock that he is nothing on his own and always has a gang with him. He asks his friends to beat him, but Najak reaches there and throws one of them down to the land. He then asks him to watch out as he will not hold back if he messes with his brother. Rock asks his friends to go and get them, and when they seem frightened, he threatens them by saying he will recover the loans from their parents. They had no choice but to attack them, but Najak and Enzi beat all of them. He comes forward and punches Rock's face and says he went easy on him in case he smashed his skull. He gets up and runs away from there, leaving behind his friends, and they also follow him and run away. When they all left, Khan asks them what they are doing as he told them not to meddle, but Enzi asks him to shut up as he doesn't have any reason to listen to him. On the other side, Rock is feeling humiliated and thinks he will kill them all and asks his friends to round up everyone tomorrow. Tahal makes a plan for the weekend to go outside, but Enzi plugs his fingers in his ears because he doesn't want to listen to his plans. He tells his plan to Najak that they will be going to go downtown and their guide will be Khan. Enzi tells him that he hates them and will never agree to hang out with them, but he did and is ready to go with them the next morning. Tahal asks him to take them to the best restaurant in the town, while Enzi and Najak are feeling embarrassed because of him. He takes them to a restaurant where they like the food, and Khan says he can't stay out for a long time and has to go to clean the inn. He asks Enzi about what is the time, but he refused to tell him, and Tahal asks him to take it easy as this is the weekend. Later, he takes them to a game park and they played a lot of games there. Tahal sees a photo booth and asks them to click a photo with them, and they make a funny photo. Later, Khan was looking at the photo when Rock appears there and says he is having fun with his friends, but now he should know his place. Najak and Enzi also notice that he has gathered a lot of people to fight them. Najak calls Khan and asks him to get back home, but some of them come toward them and block their path. One of them holds Khan from behind and Rock starts beating him with the stick, and another guy grabs Tahal from his collar, but Najak comes forward and punches his face. A guy attacks him from behind and his head starts to bleed while he asks Tahal to calm down as there are too many onlookers around. Meanwhile, Enzi saves them from an attack and asks them to react as they are outnumbered. If they stay like this, they will beat the heck out of them. So they get up and start fighting them all, but they are so many that they keep on coming toward them. Tahul notices Khan that many of them are still beating him, and he asks him to fight them to add why he is letting them hit him. But Rock again threatens him by saying he will make him and his mother homeless, so he can't go against him, and hits him with his stick and says that woman is also not his real mother. He is again about to hit him, but this time he holds the stick and breaks it with his hands and attacks him back. He punches one of them so hard that he falls to a distance, while they are all surprised to see his power. Many of them come forward to attack him, but he takes all of them down, while Najak and Enzi are also fighting with the others. One of them tells Rock that they are all not humans, so he gets frightened and runs away from there, leaving them behind. Khan sees him running and runs after him, but police appear there and ask all of them to stop right there. They take them to the police station and ask them to call their parent, while Khan is worried about his mother. Meanwhile, Jiri appears there and states he is the guardian of all of them and checks their states as they all were injured. The policeman tells them that they were the ones who started the fight and asks Najak if it's true. He says Rock was the one who started the fight, while all of them say they were just following Rock's orders and ask the police to let them go and also show them the messages in which he was threatening them. As soon as the police find out who the instigator was, they set them free, while Jiri seems angry to them. He takes them home and punishes them and asks them to explain themselves, and Najak tells him that those guys suddenly ganged up on them. But he asks him what they have gotten themselves into, and Najak tells him that it has to do with Khan, as he is in a similar situation as them and is being bullied by everyone in the village, and they can't leave him alone. After that, Jiri goes to the place where the fight happened and is shocked to see that they turned the shopping district into an absolute mess. On the other side, Rock's father is beating him because he causes a sham to his father, and he told him to keep himself in check. He apologizes to him, but he doesn't listen to him and starts beating him badly. After beating him well, he says he is under house arrest for the time being, and he receives a lot of messages from his friends who call him a traitor because he ran off from the place. A few days later, when they are going to school, Enzi tells them that he has not seen Rock recently and that he is not coming to school either, or maybe he is in prison. Rock's father successfully buys the abandoned factory, and he is so happy that he allows him to go to the school. In the class, Najak and Enzi change their seats and sit with Khan while he is getting irritated by them. A student asks them if they three fought against 30 thugs, and all the other students get near them and appreciate them. Enzi is shocked to see them, as a few days ago they treated Khan like he didn't exist. After a while, Rock enters the class and is shocked to see all of them chatting around. He gets offended and picks up a dustbin and throws all the trash onto Khan. Najak and Enzi get up and ask him how dare he shows up to the school, and he screams at his friends and asks them to fight with them, but they all remain silent. Najak gets up and comes to him by saying if he still not gets that they will not listen to him further. In the meantime, his friends also appear there and they ask him the same question, why he showed up to the school. They all started to beat him and ask him why he left all of them at the police station. Also, Khan is a Superman for them now. At the off time, Towel is with his friends and they ask him to hang out with them and go home with them too. Suddenly, Rock appears there and he has a dagger in his hand. He rushes toward him to attack, but Towel sees him on time and dodges his attack by holding his hand. He applies force on him and falls to the ground and asks him why he is doing this to him or what happened to him, while Rock says this is all happening to him because of them. Tahal asks him if he enjoys bullying others into groveling over him, and they are the one who is sparing him. He then warns him to stop bullying Khan and leaves him by saying that he hopes that he will never see him again. On the other side, Jiri cleans up all the damaged places and tells the owner of the shops that he will pay them back for the damages as soon as possible. One of the shopkeepers asks him why Khan's mother is not present there, and Jiri replies that his boys caused the biggest disruption, so he will take responsibility for it. But they tell him that Khan was the one who destroyed the place, so he should be the one to blame, and Jiri somehow knew about it, that it was Khan's doing. An ordinary human can't do this. Even so, Khan's scent belongs to neither werewolf nor a vampire. He asks the shopkeepers if they know something about him as he is adopted. A woman reveals that before he moved there, he wreaked havoc in a previous village. An innkeeper took him out of pity and people called him the devil's child. When they were discussing him, a girl was listening to them secretly, and when Jiri was going home, she followed him and calls him from behind. She tells him that Khan is not a bad guy and the people are bullying him because of those awful rumors, and asks him why he is prying on Khan. Jiri tells her that his boys are Khan's only friends in the village and that he wants to help him. She reveals that it was the night of the full moon when his mother found him. He was wandering in the streets when she took him in and he didn't know everything about him before. Jiri thinks that the night of the full moon, a loup-garou transforms into a wolf, and if he was one, he wouldn't have looked like a child. Come to the other side. They were all in the abandoned factory when Enzi tells them that it has been bought by someone else, and they can't continue it to their base camp. Najak asks them to have fun because today is their last day at the factory, and they all transform into werewolves and start playing. Meanwhile, Rock is capturing all of this in his camera. Jiri was going home when he again smells blood and transforms into a werewolf to check if there is another vampire, while the smell was leading to the abandoned factory. On the other side, Rock is still hiding in the factory and watching all of them, and is happy that he got all the footage, and even recorded them turning into beasts. He was about to leave the factory when he noticed someone behind him. It was Khan. He shows him the videos that he had made and asks him if he also noticed their transformation. But suddenly, Khan's eyes light up and he holds him by his neck. The next morning, when they were ready to go to school, they hear the news that the eldest son of the Fallowhides family had gone missing and the police are searching for him. It's been 2 days since he has gone missing and the police suspect that he has run from home. But his father says that he can't do this without his permission and asks them to go and find him. Tahal reads the news and states that according to the location tracker on his phone, Harcock was last found in the vicinity of the abandoned factory around 10 p.m. and Enzi reveals that the timing is overlapping with when they were there. He asks them to keep their mouths shut for now and notices Najak is in deep thinking. He asks him why he is not saying something and he replies that he has a lot of things in his mind. Suddenly, the door knocks and it is the police at the door that ask them to cooperate with the investigation. They have brought all the students to the police station who are on bad terms with Rock, including them. They investigate them one by one and ask them if there is anyone of whom they are suspicious. They all take Khan's name and that Rock always bullied him, so maybe he lost his control and killed him. Now it's Tahal's turn, and the policeman asks him if he knows Khan, but he gets offended and asks him if he is suspecting Khan right now. He then states that it's not Khan, plus they don't know what happened yet, or maybe he is hiding because he is scared of all the wrongdoings he has done. When they came back, Enzi asks them if they didn't tell anything dangerous to the police and Najak asks them to head back home as Jiri will be worried about them. Enzi asks him if he has anything to say and where did he go at that night, but he tells them that he is worried because he has been smelling a vampire and is trying to find him, but that night he smelled something odd. A peculiar smell that belonged to neither a vampire nor a werewolf. Meanwhile, Jiri sees a wolf but doesn't recognize him and thinks it may be a coincidence that he is in this village. He calls him and asks him what he is doing there, and if he is a werewolf, he should know that the village is marked by another pack of wolves. But he doesn't reply to him but jumps upon him and is ready to fight him. Jiri gets furious and asks him how he dared to invade his territory and thinks he can't allow anyone, even a fellow werewolf, to put the kids in danger. They start fighting and the white wolf attacks Jiri and bites his neck. He is so fast and has more powerful jaws than him. He has a strange scent and shiny, lustrous fur. He is not an ordinary wolf, but as strong as an elite soldier of a pack. Jiri jumps upon him and this time he gets successful in lying him down and gets that he is just a child. But suddenly, he gets freed himself and runs away. Jiri tries to call him back and that they need to settle the fight, but he ran off. On the other side, Najak is sure that there is a vampire in the village and they have to find him to get him off of the territory. And he also thinks that the vampire is related to Harcock going missing. On the other side, the police find a piece of evidence that when Rock was going toward the factory, Khan was following him. They reach Gray Inn and ask his mother about him and show her the arrest warrant for Khan's arrest as he is the prime suspect in the disappearance of Rock. Meanwhile, he appears there and they arrest him in front of all of them. Jiri tells them that they have found CCTV footage of Khan following Rock, and Enzi states if there is evidence. They can't rule out the possibility that Khan is the culprit as they both were on bad terms. Jiri also tells them that he ran into another werewolf today in the forest near the abandoned factory, and Najak states that it was the smell that was bothering him all the time. He advises all of them to stay inside, especially not go to the forest behind the abandoned factory. But Najak goes outside at night as he wants to check out what is going on. He plans to check for Rock and decides to go near the abandoned factory while Enzi was also accompanied him. He is shocked to see him there and asks him how long he has been following him, and he replies that he doesn't want him to leave alone. They start fighting when Tahal appears there and asks them to stop and says Detective Tahal will solve the case of KH Rock's disappearance. They reach the place where KH Rock disappeared and Najak states that if he saw them transforming into wolves, that means he would run toward the forest behind the factory. They start moving toward the forest and Najak advises both of them to stay together and only move as needed and will focus their attention on their sense of smell. They search there for a long time, and suddenly Tahal smells his blood and starts running toward it. Najak and Enzi also followed him and he stops at a place by saying he thinks he found him. Najak checks him up and states that he died a long time ago and has a bite mark on his neck which doesn't belong to a werewolf but a vampire. On the other side, a vampire is asking her subordinates if there has been a delay in relocating the research center, and Fallowhide has been beside himself these days because his son went missing. She then asks a vampire Axion if it was her doing, and before she could reply her, she killed her by saying how she can feed on any prey and the boy whom she killed was the son of their business partner. She then asks another vampire Lara to fix all the problems. On the other side, Khan's mother goes to see him in jail and asks him if he is innocent, then why he is not saying anything. His fault is that he followed KH Rock because he feared that he will do something to the brothers at the inn. When his mother gets outside, she asks Jiri what she will do if Khan really is the culprit, but he assures her that he could never do this. A few moments ago, they tell him that they found KH Rock's body and that they found bite marks on his neck, which means he was bitten by a vampire. The news of his murder spread in the city and Enzi shows Najak the news that he was attacked by wild werewolves. And he is shocked that why the police is hiding the truth because it was clear from his body that he died because of a vampire. Meanwhile, the teacher enters the class, asks everyone to mourn their lost classmates, and advises them to be careful of the mountain wolves. Moreover, they have two new transfer students, one is Luca and the other is Louis. Meanwhile, Najak and Enzi are shocked by their smells because they are werewolves. When they both were having lunch, Najak and Enzi go to them and ask who they are and what is their reason for coming to their village, but they start laughing. Enzi slams on the table and asks them why they transfer schools to their territory, and Luca states they do not have any plan to fight them and will talk to them when they will bring their leader. On the other side, a policeman goes to Khan and informs him that he has been released and KH Rock was killed by some wild animals. When he was going home, a detective was following him and reported to someone about his position, and that he will continue to keep an eye on him. While having dinner, Tahal informs Jiri that two werewolves have transformed into their school, and apparently they don't plan to fight. Jiri gets worried because this is happening when they need to focus on the vampire. Suddenly, he gets something and says what if those werewolves damage the KH Rock's body to shift the blame on them? What if those werewolves are working with the vampires? Meanwhile, a vampire goes to meet Fallowhide and asks him what is taking him so long and when will he begin the construction of the abandoned factory. Moreover, their leader is sorry for his loss, but he can't let his private affair get in the way of business. Suddenly, they start shouting at him because he knows that it was their doing as no werewolves live in the forest, and asks her how many people they have bought to hide the truth. But she shows him KH Rock's phone in which the video of the Inn brothers is clearly recorded. On the other side, Tahal is unable to sleep because he gets scared of vampires, as werewolves have never won against vampires before, so he is scared that this village will end up ruined like their homeland. Najak remembers when his father was about to leave to fight vampires. He asked him to take him with them, but he refused by saying he was too young and would take him after 5 years. After some days, they heard some noises, people shouting about vampires and asking all the werewolves to run. Meanwhile, their mother came to them and asked them to run through the back door, but Najak said it is time for him to fight and he is the one who can save all of them. He runs outside to fight the vampire, but later is shocked to see him as he was too big and stronger than him, and wonders if he always looks that scary. He was about to attack him when his mother comes in the way and asks him to take Tahal and runs away, and the vampire kills her in front of his eyes. His father also appears there, but they were surrounded by many vampires and he asked Najak to run. He then took Tahal with him and started running with disappointment that he couldn't protect anything. But this time, he promised to protect him. Suddenly, Enzi and Najak receive a message from someone who sends them their video and asks them to come out to the abandoned factory. Otherwise, he will expose them all. Najak gets up in anger, but Enzi asks him to cool down as it may be the vampires who are trying to trap them. But he says whoever sent them the video was at the abandoned factory that day. Either they are the culprit or they have some information about the vampire. They go to the factory and Najak asks them to keep a low profile and follow him quietly, while Tahal suggests to tell Jiri about this first. But if they tell him, he will lock them up and come here alone. Suddenly, they smell someone and it's like a human and there are at least 10 of them. Meanwhile, a man appears from behind and asks them to go inside the factory. They grabbed them and took them inside where Rock's father was waiting for them. He asks them if they saw the video that his son recorded on the day of his death, while Enzi asks him why he sent them the video and called them there as they know nothing about that. But he blames them that they were the ones who killed him and asks his men to kill them all. While Najak is thinking that they are against the big shot of this village, and someone like him knows who they are and furthermore thinks they are the culprit. But if they strike back, they will be admitting he is right. But he has to protect his brothers, so he is about to turn into a wolf and starts fighting them when the silver wolf enters through the window. All the people including them are in a state of shock and Rock's father has a gun in his hand. He takes out the gun and starts shooting the silver wolf, but the wolf jumps upon him and attacks. He grabs the phone from his hand and chews it up. He gets frightened and runs away from there, leaving all of his men behind, and the silver wolf was about to leave when Tahal asks him to stop and asks him to not harm humans. They doubt that he may be Luca or Louis, the transfer student, and asks him if he is one of them, but he doesn't reply to them and leaves. Najak reveals that it is the silver wolf, the one that he smelled and the same wolf that fought Jiri, and can't be Luca and Louis. The next morning in the class, they are still in a state of shock and wonder why the silver wolf helped them if he is with the transfer students. Tahal suggests they should ask them, but Najak warns them by saying they are not exactly cordial with them and that they can't trust them yet. After a while, Khan comes to the school and they are surprised and happy to see him there, while Tahal asks him what is going on because he never approached them first. But Khan asks them if they don't have anything to say to him and leaves them there in a state of shock. Later, he was going home when the detector came to him and asks that he should be at class right now. And Khan asks him why he is tailing him lately or if he is with the police. The detector asks him to get off his bike and return to class this instant, but Khan asks him to stop tailing him or he might end up in serious danger. On their way back home, Tahal was running in front of them and got stuck with something and falls to the ground. They are shocked to see it was the detector lying in the trash dead. They immediately call the police and a policeman asks them to go to the police station with them. They try to resist, but they handcuff them and take them with them. On the other side, the vampire tells Fallowhide that they had them tied up as he wished, but he ordered her to rip them apart and kill them. She tells him that they don't want to use their powers against little kids and that they will deal with them in a different way, so he should focus on the construction. Jiri goes to the police station and asks them what they did, and a policeman tells them that they have found a dead body right in front of the inn, and the three are suspects for that and they will send them back after an investigation. Jiri comes back thinking why these all things happening around us and that there must be someone who is trying to trap them, so he reaches the place where they found the dead body. He turns into a wolf and tries to smell the place. The lingering scent of the victim is still strong, but he doesn't smell any vampires, but the person whom he smells is Khan. He was too focused that he doesn't notice three werewolves appear there. He asks them what they are doing there, as this is clearly not their territory, but they don't answer him and attack him instead. Jiri dodges their attack and asks them why they are charging all of a sudden, but they don't listen to him, so he changed into a wolf and takes one of them down. Soon, he takes all of them down, but they didn't accept their defeat and become even more fired up, and fighting all three of them could put him in danger, and he might have to end up killing them all. When he was fighting, the two more werewolves appear there, and he remembered when Tahal told him that the transfer students in their school are twins, and they were Luca and Louis.